everyone, my name is Gwen Gibson. I'm a registered nutritional therapist and I specialize in gut health. And today I'm doing the first video of a series that I'm making as a guest for Arrogate Organics. So gut health. So in clinic, I see a lot of patients who suffer from IBS, gastritis, constipation, acid reflux, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. And all of these conditions are an obvious sign that there's an imbalance in the gut bacteria. However, today I wanted to talk to you about 4 main areas that we now know that studies are showing that are very much linked to the health of your gut microbiome and that you may not have thought about. So the number one is your immune system. So did you know that 70% of your immune cells lies in your gut? Yeah, and it's called the GALT, which is the gut-associated lymphoid tissue. And what is the relationship between the immune system and your gut bacteria? Well, number one, they're very close to each other. And number two, the gut bacteria are responsible for teaching and educating your immune system. The role of your immune system is to decide what is friend and what is foe, and typically it does it with inflammation. So let's imagine that you've got an infection or pathogen that shouldn't be there. The immune system will trigger some inflammation. Now, at some point, this inflammation needs to resolve, and if it doesn't, that can lead to chronic inflammation. And a lot of the disease that we see nowadays chronic disease are very much linked to chronic inflammation. So again, very important relationship between the gut bacteria. So often studies are showing that if we have an unsettled and imbalanced gut bacteria, that can also affect our immune system and our immunity. So maybe have a think if you're suffering from an autoimmune disorder. That's when inflammation is not stopping. When the body starts attacking, in joints, for example, in rheumatoid arthritis, or the thyroid if you've got hypothyroidism. And or if you're getting cold and sickness more than what you should be, probably more than 3 times a year is too much. Just have a think maybe and look at the health of your gut. Number 2, the gut-brain axis. So we've known for a long time that our thought pattern can affect our gut bacteria. However, we now realize that most of the information, the communication comes from our gut. 80% of the messages actually come from our gut to our brain, which is great news because it means that what we eat can influence how we feel. And it does that by 2 processes, two different mechanisms, and one of them is a mechanical one. There's a big nerve that goes from your brain to your gut and your gut to your brain. It's two-way communication, and it's called the vagus nerve, and it's got neurons on it and little nerves, and messages can travel that way. The second one is more like a chemical reaction. And so, for instance, did you know that 90% of serotonin is produced in our gut? However, that serotonin cannot cross the blood-brain barrier, and this is where you need the serotonin in order to have an effect and to be happy, I suppose. This is our happy hormone. However, when gut bacteria certain gut bacteria feed on ferment fiber, they produce what is called short-chain fatty acid, and one of those is butyrate. And when butyrate can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, and by doing this, it can facilitate the production of serotonin in your brain. The second thing is that bacteria in your gut, certain type of bacteria in your gut, can decide how much tryptophan, which is the raw material to produce serotonin in your brain, how much of that tryptophan can cross the blood-brain barrier. So really important again. So again, if you're suffering from low mood, if you're suffering from depression, maybe looking at your gut, maybe something you might want to consider. Number 3, your weight. So I'm just going to quote Tim Spector, who is a professor of genetic epidemiology at King's Cross College. And he said that changes in our microbiome is likely to be responsible for the worldwide obesity epidemic. So studies are showing that obese individuals have got a different composition of gut bacteria than lean individuals. They've got less diverse gut bacteria and not as abundant as someone who is lean. So to illustrate this, I just wanted to talk to you about a study that Tim Spector did, and he took two identical twins. One of them was obese and the other one was lean. And he transferred gut bacteria from these twins into mice and watched what happened. And what happened is that the mice with the bacteria from the overweight twin became overweight, and the mice from the gut bacteria that got the lean bacteria from the lean twin stayed lean. So there's also, so that can show you that there is definitely a link there between the gut bacteria and us putting weight on or not being able to lose weight. Scientists have also shown that gut bacteria seems to have an effect, play a role in regulating our appetite and our blood glucose control as well. Blood glucose is really important to be able to lose weight and not put weight on. So some microbes also, lean individuals have been shown to have something called in more abundance, a type of microbes which is called Akkermansia, and there's certain things that you can do to get the Akkermansia to grow. And so yeah, usually lean individuals have got more Akkermansia if you compare them with overweight and obese individuals. So if you're struggling with your weight, if this is something, you've tried all the diets in the world, or you yo-yo dieting, you're putting the weight on and losing it again, maybe looking at the health of your gut and nourishing your gut might be something that you may want to look at and consider. Number 4, chronic diseases and the gut. So it's kind of relating back to number 1, where I mentioned that a lot of chronic disease, such as, autoimmune disorders, Parkinson's, neurological disorders, obesity, IBD, allergies, all of these I've got, there's type 2 diabetes, obesity, I've got a component that there's too much inflammation in the body, basically. And the inflammation is not switching off. It keeps on going. And so there's very much a link with all of chronic disease. And what we've noticed, what studies are showing, is that there's a link in, so individuals who suffer from all of these disorders have a lower diversity of gut bacteria, and then have also a lower abundance of gut bacteria when you compare them to healthy individuals. So in a way, genetic is important, but it looks like, so genes can load the gun, but the gut microbiome has got very much an effect on if your genes switched on, and which leads to disease, basically. So I'm going to leave you with a state or a lovely line from a well-renowned pediatric gastroenterologist, and his name is Dr. Fasano. And Dr. Fasano said, the gut is not like Las Vegas. What happens in the gut doesn't stay in the gut. So thank you very much for listening. In the second video, I will be giving you a very practical tip on what you can do to look after your gut and nourish your gut. Thank you. Bye-bye.